A good evening and welcome everybody to this week's live webinar, the technical webinar again, English speaking for the international community. And this evening I want to talk to you about some very core DeFi topics, some opportunities to gain risk-free interest and other forms of monetary gain. And yeah, explain to you what are these things in the first place, how do they work, sometimes also why are they done in the first place. And as per usual, we will do a presentation first. And after that, we have time for a Q&A, where you can ask any types of questions that came up during the webinar for regarding the topics that were discussed, or also other technical topics that you have anything that bugs you, anything you want to know about. Let's try to keep it technical or semi-technical at least, and not have any support questions. That's for the support guys. And with that, I would say, let me get started on the DeFi topics today. So I will share my screen with you, and then we can get going. Okay, so today I want to talk about, or at least start talking about, this will be split into two webinars. So this week the first half, next week the second half. I want to talk to you about staking, lending, liquidity providing and liquidity mining, as well as yield farming. Topics that are increasing, I would say, in difficulty, but they should all be understandable, and if not, ask ahead right after. So let's jump in. Staking, what is that? From the user's perspective, staking means to lock up cryptocurrencies for different rewards. I guess most of you have heard of staking. Some of you might be staking something. Maybe some of you are already staking peak tokens, for example. And the standard use case for staking is to gain more tokens. So let's say you stake 100 tokens, and over time you get 10 tokens for staking those. So you end up with 110, for example. That is the most common, by far, and most standard use case for staking. Stake your tokens to gain more of that same token. But there are also other use cases for staking. That can be, for example, and this is a thing that Binance started with before they had their own blockchains, the Binance chain as well as the Binance Smart Chain, where you could stake BNB while it was still an ERC20 token. And for this, you got lower fees on exchanges, on their exchange. But this model of staking for lower fees is also used on other platforms. Much less common, though, than the simple token rewards, as I said. Then another use case, and a pretty interesting one, are lotteries, where people have to stake a certain amount of tokens for a certain time. And all those that did this are then eligible to be part of a lottery where, for example, an NFT might be, or a few NFTs might be given out to the winners of that lottery. Can be other things as well, of course. But that's a fun use case also. And another one of the bigger use cases, maybe the second biggest after the simple reward staking, is governance. Governance can, but doesn't necessarily need to give you more tokens as a reward or other monetary gains. Governance means that you get a say in how a platform is run in a few details. For example, governance staking might give you the opportunity to have a say in how certain fees are split between different parties, how funds are used, what the next goals should be for this or that project. This is what governance staking can be about. And sometimes you also gain more tokens or different tokens for doing this. Sometimes you just get a say in the future of the project, which is also, yeah, which is pretty cool. If you really like a project and use it yourself, why not stake up and have a say in how it is run? So this is the user's perspective. And staking tokens is basically risk-free because you can't lose your tokens. If the project isn't a scam from the start, at least, you cannot lose your tokens. So that means you will always go out of the staking with more tokens than you went in, and there's no way that you will not get these tokens usually, because as all things DeFi, everything is ruled by smart contracts, and these smart contracts can't be frauded or cheated in any way. That's one of the many upsides of the DeFi things in general, decentralized finance, and of using smart contracts and using blockchains and DATs. Now, you might ask yourself, or if you don't, maybe you should, why do companies or projects offer this at all? What's their reason and incentive to do this? Because reward staking is, in a way, giving out free money. So why would they do this? Different reasons for that. Staking is a utility for the token, which is a good thing for the project in and of itself. And particularly if there's more than just simple token rewards, then you really have utilities that can be very cool and interesting, governance being maybe the first amongst those. Lotteries and other things can be others, dividends, whatever comes to mind and whatever projects do with that. And also cool reasons for users to stake, make users want to stake, and this means they need tokens to stake. Thereby, staking can create demand for the token in the first place that might not have been there before the staking opportunity was there. And creating demand for the token is obviously good for the token price, thereby good for the project and good for all holders of that token as well. And another upside of staking is that staking, as I said, means locking your tokens up for a certain amount of time. While your tokens are locked up, they can't be sold, they can't be dumped on the markets. And this means that this locking of liquidity can stabilize the price and also avoid mass dumpings that massively drop and crash the price, which is, of course, again, good for the company and good for all holders of that token. So it's good for all involved, basically. And of course, particularly in the beginning of a new project, staking is just a marketing tool as well, because people just like to be able to put in money somewhere and get more money out of that. Like, everybody likes that, right? So why do companies do this? Because it makes people want to buy this token, want to get into it. This means there are more holders, more addresses that hold it. The token might rise in the rankings. And all of this will mean that the token gets a wider audience. And with the token, of course, the whole project behind it, the whole project represented by this token, will get a wider audience, will get more people knowing about it, more people speaking about it. And therefore, it's a great marketing tool. And marketing always costs money, so it's completely fine and logical to do this, for example, with a simple reward staking. So much for that. A few examples. You might have heard of the Peak DeFi platform, a decentralized investment fund that also does offer staking, though, on the project token, which is the Peak token. And this you can see here in the screenshot. It's a few days old. At the time I took the screenshot, there were 23.5 million about Peak tokens staked on the Ethereum blockchain, as well as close to 12.5 million Peak tokens staked on the Binance Smart Chain. So that's quite a bit already. And this is done to from the user's perspective because they get more tokens as a reward. And this is how it looks from the back end. Basically, when you are staking or want to stake, this is what you will see on the Peak DeFi platform. On this wallet I took the screenshot with, I didn't have anything staked, so this is why it shows 0 here. If you have something in here, it will show you how much did you stake and what are the staking rewards, the APY that you are getting here. And in Peak DeFi, we've made it so that we have 3 different things that increase the rewards that you're getting for your staking. So one of those is we call it the bigger bonus. That means the more you stake at once, the higher are your rewards, not only absolute, but in percentage as well. This means, for example, if you stake 1,000 tokens 2 times, you get less out of it than if you would stake 2,000 tokens at once. Sounds like it should be the same, but if you stake 2,000 at once, you get more than if you were to stake 1,000 tokens 2 times, because, as I said, bigger bonus, we want to incentivize people to lock up more, and we want to reward people who do this more than people who lock up less, because to lock up at all, you do have to trust us, you have to trust the project, and this trust in us and our project we want to reward. Another way to reward your trust in us is the so-called longer bonus, by which we mean that the longer you agree to stake your tokens, to lock them up, again, the higher percentage gains you make. This means that if you stake your tokens, for example, for 2 months at once, you will again gain more than if you were to stake for 1 month 2 times. Just because, again, higher trust is necessary to stake longer, as a higher trust is necessary to stake more, and this we want to reward. The final factor that goes into determining how much you gain in APY, that is we call it the early factor, which is basically a reduction factor. And that makes it so that the earlier you stake, the more tokens are still left out of this pool of all tokens that we allocated exclusively for staking rewards, which will be empty at some point. It's years down the road, but at some point it will happen. The earlier you stake, again, the more you have to trust us, because if you wait 2 or 3 years and see, yeah, okay, the project is real, the project is good and running well, then it's not as much of a gamble, let's say. You need to trust us less than if you are staking right from the start, where we are still smaller, and thereby we want to reward this as well. This means that the later you stake, the lower the rewards you get are. This means if you are thinking about staking, do it sooner, you get more than if you start in half a year or start in a year from now. Just one example. Let's go to lending. I think the staking is easy enough. I think that is understood. As I said, if not, ask anything you want in the chat. Let's get over to lending, which is still a pretty simple concept. Lending, as lending out money, fiat money, is done to gain interest. In the DeFi space, of course, by lending, we talk about lending out cryptocurrencies. That would be coins or tokens. This can be done centrally on centralized exchanges like Binance, Bitfinex, and so on and so on. There's so many. But also, and even more so, this can be done decentrally. And if you do it decentrally, then there's actually a lower risk for you to lose your funds, which is basically zero, compared to doing it on a centralized platform. Why is that? Well, a centralized platform could get hacked, could do an exit scam, all other kinds of problems could come up on a central place. But if it's decentralized and everything is run by smart contracts on the blockchain, then there's nothing that can go bankrupt. So there's no way to steal your funds. It's just technically impossible. So lending decentrally is safer than doing it centrally. And also there's another upside. If the centralized platform you do it makes a financial mistake, your assets might be in danger as well. This is also not possible on decentralized lending platforms, lending protocols, because the people that then borrow the money that you lend out can only do so fully collateralized, and because the crypto space is very volatile, usually over-collateralized. Over-collateralization means that if I want to lend something worth $1,000, I have to put up some security, collateral, worth $1,100 up to $1,500. So I have to put up more collateral usually than I even want to borrow. And this means that for you, the lender, there's just zero risk to lose your funds. So you would just put your funds into this decentralized protocol. You don't lend directly to this person or that. It's all done via protocols, which is much more convenient for you. For example, you can do it on Compound, you can do it on Arbor. These are direct lending protocols. You can also do it on DYDX, for example, which is a decentralized exchange and a beautiful one as well. And DYDX under the hood, of course, also uses these and other lending protocols, but then you don't have to deal with it. You don't have to choose this or that protocol for yourself. The exchange does that for you. Of course, the exchange might also charge a little fee for doing this work for you. And to find out where you might want to lend out the assets you're holding, you can go, for example, on LoanScan, but also very many other sites where you can just get an overview of the different platforms, different protocols where you can lend your crypto assets into, and also can see who pays the highest interest right now and on what assets, which might make it easier for you to decide what is it that you want to lend out and where do you want to do this. And so yeah, that's lending in principle. It's a pretty easy thing. You just lend something and you gain interest on it. The gains are not massive. They're not huge. You won't make 5x or something lending out, but you have zero risk to lose your assets. And a bit similar to fiat currencies as well, the dollar or the euro, if you have it somewhere where you gain interest, then it's definitely better for you than having your assets just sitting in your wallet, where a year later, let's say 1 Ethereum will still be 1 Ethereum. 1,000 peak tokens will still be 1,000 peak tokens. If you put this into a lending protocol, it will be a bit more after. So if you're not doing anything with your crypto assets anyway, but holding them, you really might as well lend them out in these protocols, because no risk for a little gain, and a little gain is better than nothing. So this is the landing page of the Compound protocol. Just want to show you this because Compound is, I think, the oldest and one of the biggest platforms that do lending. Runs on the Ethereum blockchain. And this is how the lending and borrowing view looks on Compound. On the left, you see supply markets. This is where you can choose what you want to lend into the protocol, and it shows you how much you will gain for this. So on this screenshot, for example, you will gain the most for DAI and USDC. This is because the interest is highest there. Apparently, on the right side, you see the interest rates that you would have to pay if you borrow these assets from the protocol. And you see there is a spread between the lending interest and the borrowing interest, obviously, because the project, the protocol and the platform, the people behind it, they need to be paid as well. And this is where this spread in interest rates comes from. Another lending protocol I mentioned is Aave. Aave also is very large, and this is how the lending and borrowing interface on Aave looks like. Again, you can see here just an overview of different things that you can lend or borrow. You can see how much of this or that asset is already lent and borrowed. You can see what the interest rate is on that for lending as well for borrowing, and then you can take your pick and deposit your assets into that. You can redeem them and you can get them back at any time. And when you get them back, then you get them back with the interest that accrued on them. So yeah, again, you can see the interest rates aren't huge, but making 1 to 10% on your assets, or even 20 in some other cases, is obviously a lot better than having them sitting in your wallet doing absolutely nothing. And this is the decentralized exchange trading platform that I mentioned, DYDX. It's a beautiful decentralized exchange. I like it a lot. I think it was the first decentralized exchange that is not just a swap platform, but a real proper exchange. You can see on the screenshot, proper trading interface, resembling centralized exchanges. And yeah, it's a very advanced trading platform, considering that it's fully decentralized, and it's still getting better. It can even offer stuff like lending, it can offer stuff like leverage trades, for example, which isn't completely trivial in the decentralized world. And they've just come out with perpetual short and long contracts, which are a bit of a gamble, but interesting. High risk, high reward, if you're interested in that. I think it's just cool because they are, for a decentralized exchange, they're really advanced. I like them. And LoanScan, as I mentioned, is one of the many pages where you can have an overview of lending platforms. You see here in this list, there's a lot more than I mentioned, and this screenshot is really old, so there's many more by now. And yeah, as I said, you can basically sort this list by the asset that you have and want to lend out, and it will show you where you can gain the most interest on your assets, on which platform right now. And maybe you see that an asset you have has like 2% at most, and another asset that you don't have has 6%. So you might even want to swap that first and then lend the new asset out. But yeah, this is where you can get an overview. And there's many other sites that provide this overview service as well, though. LoanScan is just also one of the older ones, so I'm showing that. And now let's get into the liquidity providing. Liquidity providing is a little bit more complicated than staking or simple lending is, because in liquidity providing, we are creating decentralized markets that provide liquidity. So let's start with a few examples, maybe. I think you have heard of Uniswap. That is the biggest DEX, decentralized exchange on Ethereum. But it's basically a platform where you can do nothing but swaps. And the swap is you trade one crypto against another. That means you swap one thing for another. This is why it's called swaps. And this is why it's called Uniswap. There's many, many, many more, but Uniswap is, again, I think the oldest, and I also think the biggest of those platforms on Ethereum. The first Uniswap equivalent on the Binance Smart Chain is PancakeSwap. It's also pretty large by now. It's also quite well known in the scene by now. And both of these, and as I said, many, many others on both chains and more chains as well, provide these so-called liquidity pools that allow you to either create a pool yourself or provide liquidity into a pool. And these pools then allow people to trade. And this allows you to not gain interest, but to gain fees on every single trade that is done in this pool. That means the more trades happen in the pool that you created or that you put liquidity into, the more and the faster you gain fees on that. And then whenever you want or need your money back, you can just withdraw it and you will get it back, plus the trading fees that accrued on this trading pool. And what do I mean with market creation here? So imagine there's a new project, a new blockchain project, a new crypto project, and they are, of course, not right away listed on centralized exchanges. This takes a while. This can take a lot of money, or it takes a wide user base. Both things that fresh new projects do not have usually. And so how can they offer their token to the masses at all? Well, one good way to do it is they just create their own market. What is a market? It's just a place where you can trade, buy or sell a thing. And so in the very beginning, with Market Peak, we did this too, of course. We went to Uniswap. We created a pool where we put in Ethereum as well as Peak tokens. And because, I say this a lot to get the point across, because liquidity providing means creating markets, this makes it so that you have to put up two currencies always, not just one. Because if there's only only Peak token in the pool, I mean, you can't buy or sell it, right? You don't buy Peak and pay for the Peak with Peak. That makes no sense. So the most common pairing is Ethereum and something else. And if you pair Ethereum and something else, but it can be whatever you choose, right? Ethereum is just the most common because obviously everybody who does anything on the Ethereum blockchain has Ethereum, needs Ethereum to be able to pay the transaction fees, even if you don't care about Ethereum itself. If you work on the Ethereum blockchain, you have Ethereum. So that means basically everyone on the Ethereum blockchain has Ethereum. And so if we want to enable people to buy our Peak token in public, then we create a pool. As I said, we put Peak tokens in and we put Ethereum in, and we put both of these assets in the same amounts. That doesn't mean 100 Ethereum and 100 Peak, but that means 100 Ethereum, for example, and the amount of Peak tokens that are worth 100 Peak at the moment of creation of the pool. And now we have a pool that contains both these assets. And this means that now you, the customer, can go to this liquidity pool and buy Peak tokens for Ethereum. And you can also sell Peak tokens for Ethereum. Of course, you can do pools with all kinds of other assets as well. So another very common partner for pairs is USDT, USDC, and DAI. These three are stable coins. There are other stable coins too, but these three are the biggest. They are denominated in dollar. They are always their price is always between 99 cents and $1.01, which is why a lot of people like them. It's easy to calculate in this if you are still thinking mainly in fiat prices and not in crypto. And so another pairing would be peak token and USDT, peak token and USDC, which would then enable you to buy or sell your peak not only against Ethereum, but also for these stable coins. As I said, also you can do whatever you want though. You can create a pool that has completely unknown new token A as well as completely unknown new token B. Is this a good idea? Maybe not, because if nobody is using this particular pair to trade with, because nobody cares or nobody has this or that asset, then no trades happen in your pool and you won't gain any fees. So this is why usually it makes sense to make a pool or provide liquidity to a pool that uses those, let's say, the biggest ones that are used for trading, Ethereum and a few stable coins. And yeah, the more trades happen, as I said, the more fees on those trades you gain. So how does this look? This is Uniswap, the screenshot. And what you see here is how a person who wants to trade, that means swap something on Uniswap, sees this platform. So here I just picked a token at random, GNO, I think that's Gnosis. I have no idea what they do. I'm not endorsing them. I just literally picked a token at random to make the screenshot. And then you can say, okay, I want to buy Gnosis for example, here, 2 Ethereum. You can, again, you can trade from whatever to whatever you want. And if the trading pair that you choose here, the trading pair that you want to swap, let's say you want to trade Atari for peak tokens. If an Atari peak tool does not exist, then under the hood, the platform will just swap your Atari into Ethereum and then your Ethereum into peak. So it can go more than one level. If you pick Ethereum or stable coins, usually you have a pool that does exactly that though. And in this example screenshot here, you can see at the time I took the screenshot, I would get for my 2 Ethereum close to 26 Gnosis tokens. You can see down at the bottom the price impact this trade has. If I buy Gnosis for Ethereum in this pool, then this means that the amount of Gnosis in the pool goes down, the amount of Ethereum goes up, and this means that the price of Gnosis in this tool will go up, and this is reflected in the at the bottom where it says price impact. And then you also see the last line there, liquidity provider fee. This is the fee that the user that does a swap here pays into the pool, just for providing the liquidity, for providing the opportunity to do this at all. And this is the fee that then gets distributed between all liquidity providers of this particular pool. So this is how you make money providing liquidity. So how does it look when you want to do this, provide liquidity and make money with that and not swap yourself here? So you can either create a pair. As I said, you always work in pairs here. So you have a market, and for a market, you need 2 things you can trade against each other. Or you can add liquidity to existing pairs, to existing markets. These are the 2 options that you have here. As you can see in the screenshot, it says right there, liquidity providers earn a 0.3% fee on all trades proportional to their share of the pool. So this is how that works. And then, for example, I chose to provide liquidity. Just an example screenshot. I didn't have enough Ethereum because I spent it all on coins. But this is how it looks if you want to add liquidity to an existing pool. If you want to create a new pool, it looks nearly the same. So no point in showing both of these. Here I just chose to put up 6 Ethereum overall, split half and half between Ethereum, 3 of those, and Atari tokens in the amount that is worth the same as 3 Ethereum at the time the screenshot was taken, which is 17,000 something. And if I have both those assets and screenshots I didn't, then you can just say, okay, put it into the pool. Then it says down there at the bottom, if I do this, now out of the whole liquidity pool, I own 1.94%, and this means that I will earn 1.94% of all the fees for all the trades that happen in this particular pool, Ethereum Atari. So I will gain on all trades where anybody buys Atari against Ethereum or sells Atari against Ethereum. And then at some point, as I said, you can just get your money out again, and you will get exactly what you put in, plus the fees that have accrued. And again, this is a way to earn money without any risk of losing it. It's just not possible to lose money here. Or let me be exact, it's not possible to lose assets, right? So you put in Ethereum and Atari in this example, you will get Ethereum and Atari as much as you put in plus interest, so definitely not interest, but fees. Definitely more, you will get more out than you put in, but you will get out cryptocurrencies, the same assets you put in. Now, of course, if the price against the dollar of these crypto assets goes down, then if you think about it in fiat terms, you might get less money out than you put in, but it's the same if you hold 3 Ethereum and the price goes down, you also can think of it as losing fiat money. But if you think in crypto only, then you literally cannot lose. You can only gain doing this. And again, what you gain here isn't huge. You won't double, triple, or 10x your money in here in a short time. But on the other hand, you have literally zero risk of losing anything. You can only gain guaranteed. And this is just nice and relaxed, I would say. And with this, I am done with the presentation for today. The second part comes next week. This will be the liquidity mining, which is basically an extension of liquidity providing, as I've explained it just now. And then to wrap up, we will also have the yield farming explained next week, which is the most complex topic, but I hope it can be understandable as well. And now I will check the chat and see if any questions came up so far. Oh, well, not that many people today, I see. Okay, but still, I will wait a few minutes. Let's say I will wait 5 minutes if any questions come up, any feedback, maybe wishes for topics for the future, technical or semi-technical topics, maybe market topics also that you're interested in. And yeah, if I think it's a good fit, then I can do that too. And I have connection issues now. Can I explain impermanent loss? Actually, I can't, but I will just quickly Google it, and if I understand it within a few seconds, maybe. Right, seems simple enough. Let me have a look, because we do have the time. There's basically no action in the chat. I have the time to read up a minute and then explain it to you. Right, yes, I can explain impermanent loss. So impermanent loss is called, I just read this up on CoinMarketCap, where it's explained quite nicely, is when the trading pair provided into a pool experiences volatility. This means simply put, if the price goes down of both assets in there, you have an impermanent loss. It's impermanent as long as it's not realized by pulling out the money. If you just wait a bit and the price goes up again, then you don't make a loss, so it's impermanent. And another way, a slightly more complicated way for impermanent loss is if you have in one pool a stable coin like USDT, USDC, or DAI, and a volatile cryptocurrency, let's say Ethereum. If you have Ethereum and DAI both in a pool, or Ethereum and USDT, and now let's imagine, so they have to be in there in equal amounts of value, right? So the pool starts out with, let's say, $10,000 worth of USDT, which would be 10,000 USDT, and $10,000 worth of Ethereum. Now, this dictates the price of Ethereum in this pool, right? And after the pool is created, then the price of the pool is not directly connected to the market, but it has to be corrected by arbitrage, basically. So if the general Ethereum price now rises, let's say it goes up 50%, then all of a sudden we still have $10,000 worth of USDT in the pool, but now we have $15,000 of Ethereum in the pool. This is a problem. Why? Because inside this pool, the $15,000 of Ethereum are still worth only $10,000, which means the price of this Ethereum in the pool is only 2/3 of what it is on the free market. What does this mean? This means that now people come and buy the Ethereum out of this pool, which raises the price of Ethereum, and they buy Ethereum out of this pool unless the Ethereum in the pool is as high as it is on the wider market. This will leave the pool with more USDT, but less Ethereum. That means the balance is now different. Yeah? Let's say Ethereum was worth 1,000. So we started out with 10,000 USDT and 10 Ethereum. And after this equalization, we might have 12,000 USDT and only 8 Ethereum in the pool. So it's the relation between them is now different. If you now withdraw your funds, you don't get out, for example, 1,000 USDT and 1 ETH, you get out 1,200 USDT and 0.8 ETH. And this might overall be less than 2,000 USDT, which might be less than you have put in. This is what they call impermanent loss. Yet that's the thing that can happen if you combine stable coins with volatile currencies, which is it's a possibility in general. We get to this with the yield farming and liquidity mining too. Combining stable coins with volatile cryptocurrencies has the potential for big gains, but also has some loss potential that isn't super obvious maybe. But yeah, this is what they mean with impermanent loss. Why is it called impermanent? Well, because if the price of Ethereum goes down again, then the amount of Ethereum compared to the USDT in the pool will go up again. And so it will go back more to the equilibrium that has been there before. And so if you wait it out, then you won't make this loss. So it is impermanent. That's where the term comes from. I hope that was somewhat understandable. All right, thank you. Great, I'm glad I could help you out. My pleasure. That's why we do these things here. Right. So if you put two stable coins into a pool, USDT and USDC, for example, there is just no possibility for impermanent loss. So that is safer. That is definitely safer. I don't know how the, well, what I don't know is how much people use this. So you earn more if people trade more in the pool. This is what I can't say. But from a safety perspective, yes. If you put two stable coins in a pool, then you cannot make a loss really, not even an impermanent one. And yeah, on the other hand, Also, if you put two unstable things in there, but let's say you don't put, yeah, let's say you use Ethereum, for example, and something else that is rather large, then it will follow, usually, more or less follow the price development of Ethereum. Because most altcoins, the established ones at least, they go, if Ethereum goes up by 50%, a lot of altcoins also go up by about 50%. So the risk of impermanent loss is also lower if you put two, yes, volatile, but big things into a pool. That's also an option. If you have one thing in it that fluctuates drastically, of course, that's another matter yet again. The next question is, what is degen? I also have to look that up. I don't know. DeFi degens. Right. This is a derogatory term for people who have no idea what they're doing. So a degen is short for degenerate, by which is meant a person who is a degenerate, a person who has zero idea what they're doing, who just run after the latest hype, people who fall for scams, people who invest their money into shitcoins, and just literally have no idea what they're doing. Also, it's a term used for people who abuse these people with no idea what they're doing. So it's a term for scam projects, for people who do scam projects and so on, for example. Crap projects and people with zero idea what they're doing investing into crap projects. That's what's meant by DeFi degens. Yeah, I guess degen play is what these people do on both ends, as well the people who do crappy projects, really crappy projects, or projects that are intentional scams from the start, as well as people who fall for that stuff. So they play with each other basically. Or get played. The one side plays them and the other side gets played. Pump and dump coin. A pump and dump, for example, is an example for what you might have heard being called degen play. All right, chat. I give you 3 more minutes. If nothing else comes up, I will go offline and wish you a good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you might be on Earth. I am from Germany. I'm from Berlin. I am currently in Dubai, though. Yes, indeed. I am working for Market Peak as well as PTFi. I am the CTO of both projects, yes. Which is why I do the technical or half technical webinars and videos, some of them at least, and not so much the marketing or the mindset or coin tips and other stuff. This is done by other people. Yeah, this is why I do the tech stuff, indeed. All right. It looks like nothing else is coming up regarding tech-related questions or other wishes for future webinars. Part 2 of this coming next week, which, as I said, will be liquidity mining as well as yield farming, which is based on some of the things we talked about today. This video will stay online also if you want to rewatch or recommend whatever. Yeah, exactly. And with this, I wish you, as I also said, a good morning, evening, or whatever time it is, wherever you may be. And I hope to see you again next week. And so, see you then. Have a good one. Bye-bye.